Hello, Renee. This is Charlie speaking. And guess what? I have some thoughts on the YouTube culture, just like you do. The difference is, you will never know those thoughts unless you can guess the password, which I don't think you'll ever be able to do. And until then, those thoughts on the YouTube culture are mine and mine alone. In other news, you may have noticed that this video is not a review of the 4th episode of Supernatural. That is because I have not seen the 4th episode of Supernatural, and thus am unable to satisfy my punishment this week. However, I am planning to watch the episode this weekend and will provide a review sometime next week. You just gotta believe me on this one. It's gonna happen, and it's gonna happen next week. Moving on. Even though Charlie wasn't willing to share his thoughts on the YouTube culture wars, I will share mine. Mainly, my thought is, why don't the vloggers just actually go to war? They could settle their differences on the battlefield, and the winning side could assert control over YouTube for the next decade or two. Then you can have another war when another issue comes about, and things will be settled again. This seems like a much more efficient way to figure out your differences than by hashing them out via vlog. You do call yourself a nerd fighter, don't you? Then why wouldn't you be willing to fight for your rights? As the great Vinny the Gooch once said, sit up, stand up for your rights. I think the more we listen to Vinny the Gooch as a society, the more we'd be better off. Lastly, I'd like to fill you in on where I am in Welcome to Night Vale. Today I finished episode 19A, The Sandstorm, the first two-parter, and now I am listening to 19B. I'm about halfway through, and it's like the Desert Bluffs radio program. It's the first time we've heard someone not named Cecil speak for an extended period of time. I've been able to notice some stark differences between Night Vale and Desert Bluffs. Namely, the fact that Desert Bluffs seems to be a much more pleasant city. Although, Night Vale is probably much more realistic. Where are you in Night Vale right now? Are you caught all the way up to the present? Sadly, none of their upcoming live shows are here where I am in California, or there where you are in Ohio. I'm still kicking myself that we missed out on the Columbus one, but the next time they're near us, you can bet that we're going to go. Finally, and I know I said lastly when I began the Night Vale segment, but I do want to ask, have you finished Paper Towns yet? I'm about halfway through looking for Alaska. My reading time is somewhat dissipated since I've come out here, but I'm starting to get in my routine and work it back in there. So hopefully I'll finish looking for Alaska by next week. But if you finish Paper Towns, I'm wondering what you thought of it, where it stacks up next to the other John Green books, and most important, do you think Nat Wolff will do a good job portraying the protagonist in the cinematic version? Excited to hear your thoughts on all of this in tomorrow's episode. See you tomorrow. Moi.